It appears drunken thugs in nightclub strips will now avoid any parliamentary probe into their behaviour. The broad federal inquiry announced by the Indigenous Affairs Minister Nigel Scullion yesterday will now only investigate alcohol problems relating to Indigenous people. It's prompted the Northern Territory opposition to renew calls for a local inquiry.
Police, doctors and business people have constantly pointed out that alcohol-fuelled violence is getting worse. In response, the Federal Indigenous Affairs Minister announced a broad national parliamentary inquiry.
This is not an inquiry that's going to be fenced off by racial grounds. This is about a challenge that faces all Australians.
The Minister wanted it to investigate all problem areas, from Indigenous communities to Sydney nightclubs.
In the pubs, alcohol and violence is something that is just so pervasive in the community, and we're all shocked.
But the Minister has now been overruled by his leaders. The federal inquiry will now only look at alcohol abuse on racial grounds, where it relates to Indigenous people. Alcohol supply restrictions and earlier closing times targeting drunk non-Indigenous people won't be included.
We see yet again backflips from the government. Yesterday, a government spokesperson was saying they were going to do one thing. Today, they're going to do another thing.
Nigel Scullion is now keeping quiet. His advisor says there's been no change in position, and the Minister was speaking in the context of alcohol misuse as it affects the Indigenous population. The Prime Minister's office has refused to comment. The inquiry's terms of reference have not yet been set. The Greens want them broadened out again.
Let's look at issues like advertising of alcohol to people, the drinking culture in this country.
The backtracking on the federal probe has prompted renewed calls for a Northern Territory inquiry.
Look, if there's going to be only a race-based federal inquiry, then we need a Northern Territory parliamentary inquiry that will cover everyone. Alcohol doesn't discriminate. Government shouldn't either.
Some in government agree, but it's unlikely that will happen. Jane Bardon, ABC News.